This man makes fun of shadows more than Sheldon Cooper makes fun of engineers. This man makes fun of shadows more than Chelsea and Arsenal fans make fun of Spurs' trophy cabinet. This man has made more videos about Assassin's Creed Shadows than I have talked to girls in the past 3 years. Okay, maybe I went a bit too far with the analogies, but the point is making fun of shadows is easy, it gets views, and the hate train always has people lining up to buy tickets. But does the game deserve the amount of backlash it is receiving? How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all having a wonderful time. To make it clear, this is not a negative video on Asmongold. I am a subscriber of his, I do watch his videos, and for that reason I feel like he's been extra harsh on shadows, which is why I've decided to make this video. To be fair, he does give praise to several points in the game, so I'm not just trying to say that he's been too negative or saying everything about the game is trash. There are people like that on the internet, he's not one of them. But when you make so many videos about Assassin's Creed Shadows and continue to drum on and on and on about it, you know what you're doing, you're trying to stir the pot. Which is fair, because at the end of the day, everybody wants views, and obviously a game like Shadows is going to get a lot of attention because there's so many people with conflicting opinions on it. So for this video, I want to give my opinion. Now the main thing to note is that neither of us have played Shadows, but personally, getting my bias out the way, I'm a massive fan of Assassin's Creed as a franchise, as a series, and I'm well aware of all the shortcomings of recent games, post Black Flag really. But being someone who has played all the mainline games, I can also say Shadows look substantially better than recent entries. Is it perfect? No. And should the bar that a game be held at be, well, the last one was terrible? Also no. But the fact is, I don't think the last games were terrible. They were alright, and I think this one just looks better. So to me, it looks good. Is it a 10 out of 10 game of the year? No, I'm not delusional. But in the same token, it doesn't look like a flop. To find a bit of commonality before we start, get my dislikes of the game out of the way, I too don't like the DEI nonsense that's driving the story and the reason the game exists. But as I sit here, what we have is what we have, and I think they've tried to make it better. They've definitely put more effort into it with the delays and everything. So I'm not going to sit here and judge it and say the story is bad just because it was DEI to begin with. I'm rather going to look at the finished product and say, have they managed to turn this into something great? Yes or no? I think that the non-motion capture dialogue looks stiff, way too stiff, like Bethesda level stiff. The voice acting thus far has not impressed me, particularly with Naue. So there are definitely areas for improvement for Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I can't sit here and say that most aspects of the game look bad. And the 2 points that I would like to refute, rebut, offer a different opinion to Asmongold are as follows. Firstly, the combat and its relevance to the game. And secondly is the idea that there is a disconnect between what fans are asking for and the new systems being added to the game. First, let's comment on the combat, specifically referencing this clip here.
It's not even remotely close. And before you go and you say, oh, but this is more realistic, this isn't realistic. Look at this.
While I still need to play more of it, there is like a nice...
That's not realistic. What are we talking about? It's just garbage. Like, what is this?
Look, I'll give it to you. The combat he commentated on was lackluster. There was not much going on. However, I don't watch Gandalf mark Bilbo's door and assume that's the extent of the magic I'm going to see throughout the rest of the movie. Watching Shadow's combat after playing through Odyssey, Valhalla and Mirage makes me physically excited. Timing and choice appears so much more impactful, with combat no longer being a matter of slashing your way through things or sitting there and just pairing and pairing and pairing. Pairing is obviously a big part of it, but it seems to be a bit more strategic now, especially with armor varieties and everything going on. It should, unless you decide to play Yasuke, be used as a last resort, something to avoid. Combat and AC should never be incentivized, which is why I don't fully understand the decision to make Yasuke as a character in the first place, but hey, he's here. And when you do want to play as a brute, then Yasuke fighting, to me, looks good. He's powerful, the finishes like Valhalla are brutal, he brings back that tanky fantasy. This idea that combat either has to be realistic, say like Kingdom Come Deliverance, or be fantastical like Ninja Gaiden or Souls game is just wrong. It's about providing a middle ground in Assassin's Creed, because yes, we can go back to more realistic combat systems from the days of yore, but do we really want that, a less interactive system? No, personally I'm glad Ubisoft is trying to find this middle ground for combat. It makes it more unique in my opinion. Is it perfect for everyone? No. And if you don't like it, that's fine. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of Souls combat. I feel like you roll around like a freaking hamster. But will I sit here and say that it's bad or needs to change? No, because it has its place and is good for the system it fits in. And that's my main point. The combat style is right for the game it is in. Is it good? Only time we'll be able to tell. We'll have to wait for launch to see if everything's good. It may be janky, it may be broken, but I hope that the dev time that they've added on will make it much better. And from what we've seen between the initial showcase and what we've been shown now, it does look much better and less janky. And if it can be smooth, this combat system looks really good for the game it's meant to be in. Moving on to my next point, it's going to be based off of this clip here.
What I was saying before about how features get added into video games as a result, like, this is the video game equivalent of government bureaucracy. Nobody asked, nobody wanted this, nobody needed this, it's not necessary, and it doesn't improve any aspect of the core gameplay at all. It just is this feature that's now added into the game.
You can have so many cats in your lawn.
Wait, what? This is Assassin's Creed? Who the f asked for this?
Now, to say that nobody asked is both correct, but it's also not, because the scout system, for example, as he's referring to in the clip, nobody asked for a scout to go uncover areas that may be true, but everyone who plays Assassin's Creed games has been begging on their knees for new systems and features. There are so many complaints about the games being repetitive and there being a lack of innovation and ideas. Well, here are some ideas that Ubisoft built upon from systems that people liked and asked to return. Now, all of these are requests I've heard from people on YouTube over the years. I just can't quote anybody from memory. Firstly is the apprentice system or the recruitment system. First introduced in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you could recruit assassins to help in combat, and that's cool. They brought that back. In Black Flag, you could set captured ships on missions to gain resources. And there is a resource collection system where you can use the scouts in Shadows. But now they can also perform reconnaissance tasks and report back and give you intel. That's cool. That's building upon the principle that you're not alone in the creed. Now, to make this better, I would like scouts to actually talk to you with a cutscene or whatever, where they go over the details of what's in the area, make you think a bit more, not just mark it on the map. But this is a good place to start. Next thing people ask for is a proper hideout. One of the best parts about Valhalla is Ravensthorpe, a place to call home. And this is something that was really missing from the likes of Mirage, Odyssey, and Origins. So to take this system and improve upon it is great. What's wrong with customizing your hideout to your desire? It just seems good. It's not distracting from the core experience, in my opinion. If anything, it adds to this sense of leadership. Next, there have been complaints throughout the RPG trilogy that being an eagle bearer is basically cheating when it comes to surveillance. So forcing you to climb to vantage points and actually feel like an assassin and scouting and learning about the land is much better. If anything, they should reduce the amount of objective markers presented when you do this, but I'm sure that's something I can just turn off in settings for myself and they'll leave on by default for new players. There were complaints that stealth is very formulaic, the same, hasn't changed, so they've added new features such as going prone. And to complement this, there's these now dedicated tunnels that you can utilize and some shallow ponds that you can lay in. To me, this is good thinking and good use of not just adding a prone feature, but building upon it. They obviously introduced the whole shadow lighting based system where you can hide, and they've added much more depth to noise detection with creaky floors and such. So there's a lot of effort to improve stealth with features asked for by the community. So to say who asked, we did. We begged for new systems, and this is the answer we are given. So I can't sit here and complain about all these new features after sitting and complaining that every game feels the same. Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe the game comes out and it's Veilguard level bad writing. No, I doubt it. Because as someone who has been disappointed with a few stories in the series, namely Syndicate and Odyssey, which I know does not help my case because the same studios behind those are the ones that happen to be behind Shadows, I can sit here hand on heart and say I had a lot of fun playing both those games. And so I highly doubt that the story is going to be so bad that it detracts from the fun I expect to have in the game. Beyond those points, let me know your thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows in the comments. Am I being too optimistic? Is the game going to be as terrible as so many people seem to make out? Or am I on the right track in saying, yes, there are some negative elements, but the game's still going to be fun? Like, if you rate it out of 10, I doubt it's going to be less than a 7. But anyway, those are my comments. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. But most importantly, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one.